Bella Katherine is an au pair who snuck out of their Italian host family's house in the middle of the night and has since been heavily critiqued as an entitled, silly American who was just looking for a holiday.
I'm sneaking out of my host family's house.
Now, I would never say that about an American. I think he's a pretty great, but before we get into any of that, be sure to subscribe to the channel, because if you don't subscribe right bleeding now, I will get a buzz cut. I only say this because there's this one persistent wee thing that is commenting on every single one of my videos demanding that I get a buzz cut. The lad even personally DM'd me on my Instagram, which you should also totally follow, by the way. But yeah, this is just a message specifically to that guy, because I know you're watching this, pal. If I don't hit 200k subs by my next video, I'll do what you want. I'll get the buzz cut. I really don't want to, though. And honestly, I don't think the majority of you want to see that either. So please subscribe. I'm practically begging you. Anyways, let's have a look at the video that started this whole mess.
I'm sneaking out of my host family's house. Let's go. It's 5:43 a.m. Oh my gosh, I'm literally shaking. That was the scariest thing ever.
Right, so this is gripping content already. I'm sure you'll agree with me. Excuse the weird, ominous lines on the video. As I'm sure you can tell, if you can think, the original video was deleted. You'll soon see why, because people were not a fan of how she treated this whole situation, or even just the initial, I guess, decision to sneak out of the house to begin with. I'm not going to make any judgments too quickly, though. We need to hear this woman out, so let's watch the rest of this video first. Also, sorry to the misophoniacs if you're still here.
Kind of scary. I just hope the train comes soon. Okay, I made it to the airport. I had to take an Uber because the train wasn't coming for another 30 minutes. But I'm at my check-in gate. I don't know when I'll get checked in, but I made it. Thank gosh.
This is pretty insane. We got like a heist, we got a travel vlog, and we've got an escape scene all in the same 2-minute video. We'll give her one thing, she is a woman of cinema. But to be honest, the au pair thing that covers this entire video, the au pair thing that 16 million people viewed this video originally for, only lasted for like 5 seconds, and the rest was her just talking about how terrified she was, which, to be fair, sneaking out of an Italian person's house must be the most harrowing experience that one could ever go through. Like, imagine if they catch you, whatever will they do? Because as we all know, Italians have this magical ability to use pizzas like Captain America uses his shield, and if they catch you trying to slight them in any way, shape, or form, you're getting a pizza right in the neck, and your head's gone. It's gone. You're dead.
I have water, and then the spaghetti alla carbonara. I'm trying pasta in Italy for the first time ever.
This is so lame. You can't try pasta. If you want authentic Italian pasta, you don't get it from the airport. Airport food is never, it's always at least like, it's never more than 50% as good as what you'd get at the average Italian restaurant, in my opinion at least. I mean, I've been in airports before and had airport food, and even here in Britain, it's like the food's nowhere near as good. Apart from that one Nando's in Gatwick Airport, which is the only Nando's in the world that serves breakfast. I'm not even lying to you. I have purposefully booked my flights to France like way earlier than it was supposed to be booked, just so that I could have that fucking Nando's breakfast. I have no idea why the only Nando's that serves breakfast is so difficult to get to. But in a way, I guess that's what makes it so sweet. Also, I know we're going off topic here, but a fucking carbonara, that is like bottom tier. I'm sorry, but carbonara is the most overrated form of pasta.
Leaving, but it's still pasta in Italy. I got the carbonara. Cheers. Oh, wait. Parmesan. Wow. The noodles are so chewy.
The host family's probably woken up at this point thinking like, where has she gone? Sorry. I can't do that accent for the whole video. But they're probably worried as fuck, like checking under the pillows, like where's this fucking go? Every burger joint in the fucking city, they're like, where can the American have gone to? Let's check all the burger places, all the Mackies. They can't find it. They're worried sick, and little do they know that she's in this fucking airport scranning bottom tier pasta. Right, so yeah, predictably she was getting a lot of hate for that video. You wouldn't know because she turned her comments off, so I guess you would know, because why else would you turn your comments off? So let's have a look at the first video that she posted as a response to all the hate that she was getting for sneaking out of her au pair's house so suddenly, you know? It's difficult to believe that there wasn't a better way of going about things, but let's hear her out.
Here's the highly requested story time on how and why I had to sneak out of my au pair family's house in Italy. I just want to first say that I did not expect at all that video to do what it is doing right now. I'm like still in shock. I'm like really like don't know what is happening right now. This is gonna be multiple parts, so I'm sorry, but it has to be that way because I have a lot to say. And I want to make a disclaimer. I did pay for my entire flight there and back. They paid for nothing, and I can promise you this was not a vacation in my eyes. Like, I did not spend over $1,000 to fly there and back in less than a week.
Was anyone suspicious that the family paid for her flight? The whole point was that she snuck out, so the only way they could have paid for it is if she also stole their fucking credit cards. Oh, she's probably talking about on the way there, to be fair to her. Sorry, that's my fault. Usually I'd cut stuff like that out, but you know what? It's important to realize that we humans are flawed, and sometimes mistakes are okay and necessary. I also quite like watch time.
But we're gonna start from the very beginning. If you don't know what an au pair is, it's basically someone that goes to live with a family in another country, and you either watch their kids, you do light housework, and in return you get food and board.
And money as well. Au pairs are usually given money, like alongside, not like a huge amount because they are being fed and they are being housed or whatever, but they are usually paid as well.
I had let her know I was interested in coming to live with them. They agreed. They said that we'd be a good fit. So I then booked my flight to Italy and left for Italy 2 weeks later. So it was quick. It was quick. They wanted an au pair as soon as possible. So I gave my work like 3 weeks notice. Mind you, remember we have no contracts. I paid for my flight. So I was supposed to stay 85 days total. So about 3 months.
4 days is this is like au pair speed run. Something really bad must have gone down for a whole, not even like a whole week. But to be fair, I think the lack of contracts and au pair world being known for, you know, not being an actual agency, it's purely like a match. It's like Tinder for au pairs, basically. You know, you don't go on Tinder and then like before you meet someone, you talk to a managerial concert about like, oh, if this happens, then can I come to you and like get this sorted or whatever? Nah, you match with them, you go over and you fucking get shagged or something. Obviously, if you're an au pair, that usually does not happen, at least with the family, whatever. I personally, if I was doing this sort of thing, would get it done via an agency because it just gives you that sort of extra level of security, that extra level of, I guess, safety, which I think is especially important if you're a young woman, which most au pairs are, going to a different country for the very first time in your life, which a lot of au pairs are. To do that without an agency or some sort of safety net, in my opinion, is strange. So as much as people say the au pair world is like this great thing, it's got a lot of good reviews, very good reputation, me personally, I think I'm just too much of a, I don't think I'm enough of a risk taker. I'll put it that way. But hey man, if that's your hustle, that's your hustle. Clearly it did not work too well for this lassie though, and interestingly, we have actually found the profile that the host family have listed on Au Pair World, which we will look at later and we can sort of cross-reference with this au pair's sort of retelling of events.
So this is the first red flag. At lunch, she starts ranting to me about her job. Apparently, she had been moved to a different position that was like lower. I like honestly don't know. It was hard for me to understand a lot of the times. I just know that she was not happy. She got moved to a different position. But that was the first red flag.
I don't know if I would consider that a red flag. I guess if you're looking back in hindsight and there's a bunch of little things that built up, I maybe sure, but red flag is a bit too... Moaning about your job is like the most normal thing that a person can do. Especially here in Europe, because us Europeans are a miserable people.
This is the second problem. This was a huge problem because the host dad spoke no English at all. He spoke as much English as I speak Italian, which is none. I can say ciao. This was like one of the main problems because they needed an au pair because the host dad is gone Monday through Thursday. He travels for his job, so he's gone Monday through Thursday. I was expecting the host mom to be teaching me these things, but instead I go to the store with the host dad. It's quite awkward because it's just silent. He can't speak to me, I can't communicate to him. When we're in the store, it's hard to communicate. We're just using Google Translate for everything. But we go to the store, we get the things we needed, and we get back home. When we got home, the host mom wasn't there.
I don't like these cuts that she does with the milkshake or whatever. It's not an important part of the story. We don't need to see that. You know what? I love it for you. I'm glad you're enjoying your milkshake, but like you can keep that to yourself. Imagine if I did that in this video. I would assume that the dad not knowing English is something that would be specified on the host family's profile, but we'll see when we look at the profile itself. And especially if it is something that you already knew before you moved there, and if you are about to live in Italy for, even if it is just 3 months, I think it would be good to do the country some courtesy of learning at least some of the language. Like, I feel like in a couple of months you can get a pretty good grasp of a language. Obviously you won't be fluent in it or anything, you might not even be able to have like proper conversations with people, but European languages most of the time for English speakers aren't like this huge jump in difficulty. So within 3 months, you can get to a pretty decent conversational level in passing at the very least. Like, oh, hello, where is the nearest toilet? Where is the bread? Where are the bananas?
So it was me and the host dad again. And one of my jobs is picking up the host child from school. Instead of showing me how to use public transport or the way to walk to get to his school, he took the car, which, okay, it's the first day. I'm okay with that. I didn't think anything of it, honestly, but as the story goes on, you'll see the problem. When we got home, I played with the host child. We were playing blocks. The host dad tried to show me how to heat up his dinner, which it was very difficult because, again, there's a language barrier and the stoves, the oven, everything is different in a different country.
I'm not being funny here, but it's not like a fucking space station. It's just Italy. I went to America quite recently, and like the hobs and the stove tops, I think you call them stoves or whatever, it was all fine. Like, it took me maybe a couple minutes to readjust and learn how to use the things. Maybe this Italian family cooked exclusively with a pizza oven, though. Who knows?
Host mom says she gets off of work 7:30, 8 at the latest, and we'd eat when she gets home, and she'd be cooking dinner for us every night. But about 9 o'clock, the host mom gets home from work. She doesn't seem happy about work and about her situation there. But I still didn't pick up these cues until a few days later. We eat dinner that, mind you, the host dad cooked for us, not the host mom. And then the host mom shows me what I need to be doing after dinner, put away the dishes, clean the pots and pans, wipe down the counters. None of this was an issue because I knew this was what I would be doing. After I did everything, I thought I was good to go to bed. It was pretty late at this point, but I said I was going to bed and she told me I needed to come bathe the host child. Which, one thing about me, I'm not good with confrontation, and I am not good at like sticking up for myself, so that was one of the issues as well, and that's on me. So I did it. I gave the host boy a bath. She like showed me how to do it, although I know how to bathe a child. She was just very particular about everything. Like, everything had to be done her way, or just like, you might as well just not even do it.
So you have a problem with them not teaching you properly how to use the stovetops, but whenever they do try to actually teach you how to do something, then you have... No, I know how to do that. You know, in the same way that Italian stovetops might be different to American ones, Italian babies might also be different to American babies. I get it. I'm being overly critical here, but I don't know. I feel like you shouldn't take it as them trying to insult your intelligence by showing you how to bathe their child. It's their fucking child. Like, of course they want to be as safe as possible and just be assured that they are leaving their baby in safe hands. Okay, so that was the first part where she actually told the story of the au pair or whatever, and everything seems fine so far. Like, so far, if she left because of any of the reasons that she stated in this video, I would be very confused, bewildered, befuzzled, gobsmacked that she decided to make that decision and thought that it was like a morally okay thing to do. You can't do that shit based on these reasons alone. But there are a couple more parts, so let's hear her out once again.
Thursday, April 3rd, my first full day in Italy. I woke up, got ready, went to the kitchen so that I could learn my morning tasks, what I'm supposed to be doing. I got up around 8 and the host dad and the host child come out into the kitchen. The host dad gives him his milk. Again, this is the problem. The host mom is the only one that speaks English here. The host dad speaks as much English as I speak Italian, which is none. The host child doesn't speak English either. The host dad is trying to show me how to do these things, but there's this big language barrier here. So this is why I just didn't understand why she couldn't have been helping me. The host dad got him his milk, didn't show me how to heat it up, didn't show me how much I'm giving him, nothing like that. And the host mom was still sleeping. The host mom ended up getting up at around 8:20. By the time we were ready to leave to take him to school, it was late and we had to take the car again, which I still needed to learn how to use the public transport or to walk the directions to get there. So we drive, take him to school. It's awkward, it's hard to communicate, but I do it. And then when I returned home, I decided to take a little nap. I was still jet lagged a little bit. So I took about a 2-hour nap and I wake up to the host mom texting me, "Hi Ella, where are you?" So I get out of bed, I go into the kitchen, and she's there. Also, I didn't understand this because I thought she was supposed to be at work.
Yeah, to be honest with you, this mother does sound like a rather difficult individual, especially for an au pair who's trying their best to service the family, if that makes sense, because, yeah, you should be the one teaching her all the things that need to be taught, not the dad, because the dad doesn't know Italian, or English, rather. I hope he knows Italian, this is fucking country. It's not as though this lassie here was exclusively only wanting to work in Italy because it's the language that she knows. It was a 2-week notice thing. She can't learn a whole language in 2 weeks, so if you're the one that knows English, you should be the one teaching her things that you want her to know. Is that a reason to just up and leave secretly in the middle of the night? Probably not, but it is a mild annoyance at the very least. And it is something that she definitely is entitled to feel annoyed about.
And I loved meeting new people, but when I was in the house, I felt like trapped. I felt uncomfortable. It was just not what I was expecting at all. So when I got home, again, we drove to pick up the boy, and I was with the host dad again because the host mom had gone to work later. Don't know why. We got home. The host dad tried again to show me how to make his dinner. And then after he eats, we go into the living room, hang out. And the host dad goes to pick up the host mom from work. This is like 8:30 at this point. They get back at like after 9:30. He doesn't have a far commute to work, so I was very confused about that part. Like, where did they go? Why did they leave me alone with him so long? When like I'm just learning and I barely learned anything because of this language barrier. I had to give him a bath again that night, which is fine. I would have done it and been happy doing it if it was what she had said I would be doing. But instead she said I would be cleaning up after dinner while she gives him a bath because she wants to spend time with him because she's at work all day. That was day 2, but my first full day. Day 3 and 4 are really when I just couldn't take it anymore.
That is what I call a fucking clip. This is like Star Wars Episode 5 right here. It's a cliffhanger of all ages. Like, fucking hell, that was awful. But yeah, I think that based on what she's saying here, it does not sound like the most pleasant experience, and I feel as though this is why it's so important to go with an agency if you are wanting to be an au pair, in my opinion, because if you had an agency, you could, you know, I guess vocalize these issues to them instead of 16 million people on TikTok, for example. Like, if you feel as though you are being given tasks that were not outlined in the initial brief that you were given on whatever website you signed up to, you were explicitly told you do not need to bathe the child, and then when you get there, actually, no, we changed our mind, you need to bathe that child. That is, like, one of the main reasons why I would assume someone would go to an agency and be like, hey, this is not what I was promised. This is not what this family has on your listing. You know, they falsely advertise on your platform, and now I'm having to suffer for it, so you need to do something about this. You know, the contract explicitly states this and that and this and that. You can call Saul Goodman, he'll sort everything out, you know what I mean? But in a situation like this, where no legal troubles have been, you know, made apparent, there's no contracts, Saul Goodman can't do shit. So yeah, a little bit of frustration's brewing at this point in the story, but there's still no qualms about staying in Italy because everything outside the house is so much fun. But things are about to change in part 4, so let's go.
So again, the host dad and I take the host child to school, but we use public transport. So he's trying to show me how to use public transport. We're just kind of looking at his phone because, again, the language barrier. If you go back in my other videos, you know that the #1 problem is that the host mom isn't helping me at all, and she's the only one that speaks English. So we get back home. I had the day to myself. This was the day that I met up with the other girls, and it was super fun. I vlogged that day as well. At around 2 o'clock, I text the host mom asking what time I should be home so that we can go pick up the host child, and she replies to me saying that the host dad's gonna pick him up and I didn't need to come home because, again, normally I would have my Friday afternoons off. I hang out with my friends a little longer and then I walk home. When I get home, I decided to call my parents. No one was home at that point. I called my dad and mom for the first time since I had been in Italy. I was very emotional. I got off the phone. I texted the host mom asking what time she'd be home, just because we'd been having dinner so late and I wasn't expecting that at all. Just not as late as we were. We were having dinner like 9:30, 10, 10:30 every night, when she said we'd be having dinner 7:38. I texted her about 6 p.m. asking when she'd be home. She said about 10 minutes. So I get in the shower, I shower. At this point, the host dad and the host child were home. So I grab my Kindle and I go out to the couch and I hang out with the host child. He's playing, I'm reading. The host dad makes the host child dinner, gives him a bath, and then he's like still playing. At this point, it's like 9 p.m. The host mom is still not home. This is the first instance when my red flag alert immediately started going off. So she comes home a little bit after 9 p.m. I was still reading on the couch, hanging out with the host child. She comes into the living room and proceeds to raise her voice at me. She was not happy that I was sitting there reading. She asked me why the host dad was doing everything, why I wasn't helping him cook dinner, why I didn't bathe him, why I wasn't playing with him, why I wasn't cleaning up his toys, all of these things. And I was just honestly confused. I apologized because that's just what I do. I apologized. I said, I'm sorry, this is maybe a miscommunication. I thought that I had off. You had told me I didn't have to go pick him up from school. I'm sorry. sorry. And she kind of just said, like, you need to be paying attention, and then just walked away.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, if the story happened exactly how she's describing here, that is not really acceptable behavior from the host mom. You can't just raise your voice at someone because of something so menial, like she didn't know she was supposed to be doing any of that shit because it wasn't communicated to her. In fact, it seems as though she was actually doing more than what was being asked of her, because she was, you know, giving the kid baths, which apparently she didn't even need to do. It's like, oh, why weren't you cooking dinner for our child? Well, because nobody asked me to, and I haven't been doing it for the last couple of days that I've been here. I understand why she'd be frustrated to be. This girl got a lot of hate. I'm yet to see why she got the amount of hate that she did, but I'm guessing that it might become clearer as the video goes on, or when we see the parents' actual account on Au Pair World, because if there's like a lot of contradictions and it's nowhere near as much of a lie as she's making it out to be, I would understand why people, you know, got at her for it.
So I asked her, she was sitting on the couch, table's here, couch, table. I asked her what I can do with the tablecloth, and she tells me to ask the host dad. I just couldn't understand why she couldn't have just told me what to do with the tablecloth, and why I had to go ask the host dad when the host dad doesn't speak English. Oh my gosh. That was so frustrating for me.
Yeah, the host mom does not sound like a very communicative or pleasant host mom. I feel like it would be better if she did not have an au pair, or at the very least treat her au pair in a appropriate manner. You know, your au pair is not a psychic, it's not a mind. I don't know what you think Americans are, Mr. Italian women. Mr. Italian women. I guess you're Miss Italian woman. There you go. I'm so good at this job, aren't I? Fuck me. Subscribe.
I just want to remind everyone that Friday afternoon, Saturday, and Sunday were my days off. I chose to spend it with them that day. We were going to Portofino. They were going to show me around Portofino. So I woke up at 8:15, got ready for the day, and was out and ready to leave by 9. The night before, the host mom had told me we were leaving no later than 9, as it is a 2-hour drive to Portofino, and we want to get there early. So she walks out of her room at a little past 9 in her pajamas. She had just gotten out of bed. And honestly, this like really annoyed me because I was tired too. She had me up late the last night. She slept in and I was ready at 9.
That is a piss take, to be fair. That is a piss take, but that's something that you could get really angry about if you are her actual daughter and you're sat in that house like, oh, mum, you're taking the piss here, lass. I don't know anyone who calls their mum lass, but you know what I mean. I feel like when you're an au pair and you're being paid to, you know, be there and stay there and they're cooking for you and they're giving you a gaff or whatever, yeah, you can be annoyed by it, but it's not a reason to leave in the middle of the night secretly. I'm trying to think though, like, the more I think about it, if I was an au pair in this sort of situation, yeah, I would be annoyed. I would be annoyed, to be fair to her, like.
And then host mom decided she wanted to stop at another pretty town. We went there, we walked around a lot. I will say, I was being left with the host child a lot. He's a slow walker, so they were walking way in front of me, and I wasn't gonna just leave the child, so I was walking with him, either holding his hand, or at times I'd pick him up and we'd run to catch up with them. But they were just kind of like ignoring me and just leaving me with him. Again, it was my day off, but I chose to be there with them.
That's not responsible parent. That's how 15-year-old boys treat their pal who's tying their shoelaces, but they can't be asked to stay with them. Not how two parents should be treating their actual child. Fuck, you Italians are ruthless. So yeah, as much as this is her day off, she has chosen to be with them and stay with them for that day. It makes sense that she's just not being given like a free day out and isn't doing any labor or any work for it. She should be able to, you know, take care of the kid, hold its hand, make sure it don't get lost or whatever. It would have been nice if that was communicated to her beforehand though. Maybe it was and she just hasn't mentioned it, but either which way, there's definitely some fishy business here. But at least she is doing the right thing by taking care of the kid.
Leave it around 8 p.m. The host dad pulls the car around. I get in the car. The host mom puts the host child in the seat and we get honked at because we're just sitting in the middle of the road. Duh. I would honk too. And immediately, the host mom snaps at me. She gets in the car, raises her voice at me again, saying that I wasn't paying attention, I haven't been helping at all today, and I'm not, like, learning. First off, I was pushing the stroller at least half that day. I held his hand. I carried him. I stayed back with him while they were way ahead of us. So I was paying attention. You were not paying attention. She just snaps at me, and I just wasn't understanding. But I was just like, okay. I just kept saying okay. There was no point in arguing with her. So at this point, point, I decided I wanted to leave.
Honestly, this girl received so much hate to the point where she's had to turn off her comments and shit. This sounds like completely reasonable on her end. She is handling this like a fucking champ. Because yeah, everything you haven't learned is not because you're not trying to learn anything, it's because they've not been able to teach you anything. You had to specifically ask to learn how to use public transportation. Every time you would ask the mother for something, she would just direct your attention towards the dad, who doesn't even fucking speak English. And it's not his fault for not speaking English, it's not his responsibility to learn English. He lives in Italy. Why would he be forced to learn English? But you do know English. Maybe you should be the one who's helping this woman. Is there not at least a little bit of thought for au pairs if you're a host family when they come to your country and it's like, this person very possibly might have just left their home country for the very first time. They've just gone from living with their parents to living with a bunch of complete strangers. Maybe we should treat them with a little bit of sympathy, at least for the first week, and cut them some slack. And then as time goes on, they'll settle into their job, they'll settle into living with us, and if we've done our job correctly, they'll feel comfortable around us. I don't blame this woman for wanting to leave this family, because the thought of staying with them for 3 fucking months based on this alone, after 4 days happening, doesn't sound very nice. And that's putting it lightly, let me tell you. And honestly, so far, the way that she handled the confrontation's fine. Just saying, okay, not arguing back with her in any way, shape, or form, because, yeah, you shouldn't really argue back with her. If you know you're gonna leave at this point, because I'm guessing at this point, she's like, right, this is done. I'm gonna just let her fucking berate me. Which, if you have any Italians in your life, you know that the way they berate you is, oh man, top 10 worst cultures to be berated by. The Italians are a blunt people. There's a lot of them here in the UK, because fish and chip shops originated from Italian culture. They started as like spaghetti places, really classic Italian food and stuff, but then they soon came to realize that British people aren't really a fan of, you know, exploring different cultures. They just want to stick to their pie and mash. So the Italian restaurants, very cleverly, might I add, decided to like adapt and go, you know what, we'll serve some fish and chips alongside our spaghetti and meatballs. And all of a sudden, fish and chips booms in popularity, and it's like the best thing on the fucking planet. So thank you, Italy, for giving us that delicacy. I've just been corrected by her. She's not, you know, speaking out in this video. What was that? Her? I don't want to say her name. I also don't want to say Mrs. Jabo or whatever the fuck you guys have been calling her, because she doesn't like those names. She doesn't want that to be her legacy. But yeah, I've just looked it up as well. The Italians did not create fish and chips by any means. I wasn't thinking properly, but they did popularize it and realize its potential during the chip shop trade in Scotland specifically, which makes total sense because fish and chips are so much better up here in Scotland, which I can only assume is due to the Italian influence. So thank you once again, maybe not for creating it, but for making it good, because fish and chips in London is fucking it. Like, I'm not to be dramatic here, but I would rather fucking die. And to be fair, if I were to buy a fish and chips in London, I'd probably die of bankruptcy anyway.
So at this point, I decided I wanted to leave. I changed my flight to the next day. I do want to say I didn't tell them that I wanted to leave for multiple reasons. One, I felt uncomfortable. I didn't necessarily feel safe. Two, the host dad's job, I'm not gonna say a lot of details. It was something in a field that like made me uncomfortable and kind of made me a little bit scared, and I didn't know how she would react. I decided that I just needed to get out of the house. I felt super trapped. On the car ride back home, we get stuck in massive standstill traffic. I was exhausted, so I fall asleep in the car, and then the host mom wakes me up, and she turns around, she raises her voice again, and starts telling me that I need to be reading to the host child, I need to be teaching him English, interacting with him, and again paying attention.
This is meant, like, she has come out with this family on her day off, by the way. Fair enough, she does get a nice trip to this like really quaint city or whatever, but she's been taking care of this kid the whole time on her day off. She should not have to do anything in that car or read to the child or anything along those lines. She doesn't need to do any of that shit. Apparently, by the way, I've heard from like a lot of au pairs online that their days off aren't really days off, but I don't fucking subscribe to that idea. A day off is a day off. Obviously, the lines are a bit more blurred here because even though it's a day off, she's spending time with the family in a different city or whatever, so I guess I understand where the confusion comes from, or the potential, like, if au pairs are watching this, what they would do in this situation might differ from how she's handling it, so I understand that might be a factor here. But at the end of the day, the more I listen to this, it's like, I can't really criticize her decision to leave without telling any of the family. It's not something that I personally would have done, but I am not a young woman who knows what it's like to not feel safe in a household full of strangers. Like, if this lassie here genuinely felt unsafe with telling the family that she was going to leave, then completely within her right to leave without telling them, because they've not treated her very respectfully. Why should she treat them respectfully? Why should she offer them the courtesy of letting them know that she's about to leave when they've not treated her well at all? At least based on everything that we're hearing, obviously. This is a developing story.
I just wanted to get out of there. By the time I got home, it was around 11:20. That night is the night that I packed everything back up, and then in the morning, as y'all saw, I left. That is why I left. I did feel very uncomfortable there. I felt trapped. I had a really bad gut feeling. I just needed to get out, and that's my reasoning to why I had to leave. I want to thank everyone that has been supportive of me in choosing to leave, to trust my gut. That was my story.
Now, as we've already mentioned, this lassie was getting a lot of hate for this decision, which, based on everything that we've seen, I really just don't understand. But predictably, she responded to all of this hate and turned off her comments, which I feel bad for her that she was getting that much hate. She thought it was appropriate, or she thought it was necessary to turn off her comments. It sucks, but if there's one thing about the internet, no one knows how to mind their own fucking business. And even if you're correct, you can still get booed by millions of people. But anyway, once again, obviously there's more to this story. We'll cover more. Maybe my opinion will change, but for now, let's watch her response to all the hate that she was getting.
But so many people have just made up their own story in their heads, and then when they asked for a story time and I told my story time, it didn't match up with their story in their head, and so they were mad about it. So I'm sorry that you guys made up a story in your head and it didn't match up with what actually happened, but I wasn't gonna lie and say something that didn't happen. I told you what happened. I told you I was uncomfortable and didn't feel safe, so that's why I left. So I just wanted to clear that up. I also just want to say that I have had a job ever since I've been old enough to have a job. And then before that, I was a babysitter. I've never not had a job until now. So I think I'm just taking a little bit of a break. But I do like a job for like the routine aspect, so we'll see what happens. We'll see if I end up getting a little part-time job, because I do love a good routine. Also say that I did send the host mom a text as soon as I got to the airport and as soon as I felt safe. I sent her a text. I explained that I didn't appreciate the way she was talking to me. I didn't feel comfortable in the house. Thank you to everyone that's been so nice and supportive of me. That really means a lot. So yeah.
Liking a job for the whole aspect of having a routine in your life, in my opinion, is actually a very green flag that connotes a very responsible individual. And based on everything that we've heard about this woman and the way that she's told her story and the way that she handled the confrontation when confrontation arose, she does seem quite responsible. If you felt unsafe in that household telling them that you wanted to leave, then don't tell them that you want to leave because you feel unsafe. The dad has this scary job or whatever. We'll listen to what that might be later, because I'm sure we'll find out. If he was like a chocolatier or something, then fair enough, I understand why she's getting hate. But if he's like a fucking MMA fighter and people are angry at her for leaving because she felt unsafe at his job or whatever, then I'm have a day off, will you? But yeah, she did send them a message a couple days later. There was no contract, you know, that she's allowed to do all this because she didn't sign anything saying that she could. In the same way that family was taking advantage of the fact that there weren't any explicit rules being stated or no contract to follow, she was also taking advantage of that same fact by leaving whenever she fucking wanted to, because they weren't treating her as though there were rules to follow. It wouldn't surprise me if this family is on au pair ward because they don't want to be held down by contracts and such, and they can just do whatever the fuck they want when their au pair gets there. I say they, to be fair. From everything that we've seen and heard, the dad seems okay, the son seems okay, but the mum seems like the one who's causing all the problems. But she sent them a message the second she got to the airport, which is just as good as telling them the same day, because, I mean, they were asleep, you know what I mean? I really don't get the hate here, like, at all. Everything's fine. She made a decision based on the level of her perceived safety and the level of comfort that she was feeling at the house. She wasn't being treated correctly, so she left. How could you possibly hate on somebody for doing that? I think the main criticism that people have been levying at her is like, oh, you went to this expecting like a free holiday or something, and just because it wasn't the free holiday that you wanted, and just because it wasn't the holiday or vacation or whatever that you wanted, you decided to leave because it was too much work for you. It's like, no, she was bathing the child, which she wasn't even supposed to do, and she was okay with doing that. She stayed with the family that she was already feeling slightly uncomfortable with on her day off. Fair enough, she wanted to see more of Italy, but she was also with the family on her day off. Could they not have been a little more appreciative? Because according to her, they weren't fucking looking out for their own kid. She was doing it for them. And all she got in return was a bunch of shouts and screams and mamma mias. Anyway, now we're gonna have a look at the actual profile that was found of the au pair's host family, and hopefully then we can maybe get to the bottom of why she's receiving so much hate. But first, let's drag the slider to fit the puzzle, because this is something that TikTok does now, I guess. Come on. There. Oh, Yep, there you go. Boom. Look at me, I'm a fucking pro!
I am 100% going to backpedal on what I said in my previous 2 videos about the au pair that left in the middle of the night. Because guess what I found? I was curious last night and I went onto Au Pair World to see if I could maybe find the host family that she matched with.
Okay, so this is great actually, because this woman here, this lovely South African lady, is just like me. She previously had the opinion of this girl was completely within her right to leave the family. She didn't do anything necessarily wrong, but apparently reading the host family's profile completely changed her mind and made her backpedal on that initial decision. So let's listen to this. It sounds really interesting.
Family of 3, 1 child, mom and a dad. And guys, these photos are so adorable. This family looks so cute. They are so fit and healthy too. You can tell that they are those people that really are in touch with their bodies and their health.
Objection! Relevance. What the fuck is this? Can we get to the point? Sorry, that's harsh.
Are you ready to come to Milan? We are a modern and welcoming family looking for an au pair to join us and help us with our son. He is now 3.5 years old and is a cheerful, lively child who loves to play and explore the world around him. So cute. I, the mother, work as a strategic project manager in a food company, so good food is always an important part of my home. My husband is often away on weekdays due to his military commitments, so having an extra pair of hands, especially in the evenings and afternoons, would be helpful.
Ah, so that was the scary job that she was so intimidated by. The husband is a military man. I can get behind that. You know, it's not like the most intimidating job in the world, because, you know, ideally military men are meant to protect you. So I guess some people might see it as like a protective sort of thing, but I can understand why a young woman who's never been to this country before might be a little bit, I guess, concerned about something like that. Especially because, you know, we weren't hanging around with a dad if he's a bit more aggressive than ideal. I mean, when I was younger, to be fair, and I was around, like, people's houses, especially if they were girls, and their parents were part of the military, if their dad was, like, a part of the military, I was definitely more on edge, because I didn't want them being like, what are you doing with my daughter, young boy? There was one Filipino family, actually, and Filipinos aren't... No hate, but Filipinos aren't exactly known for being the most intimidating people. But no, these guys were a fucking exception. This guy was like Manny Pacquiao on fucking steroids. And he was a military man, and I was hanging about with his daughter, just in the gaff or whatever, and I was nervous. I did not feel protected. Suffice it to say, if she was completely comfortable with having the military man dad around, that'd be fine. I'd understand that. But if she was also a bit nervous having this bloke around, I'd also understand that. I don't think it's too outrageous that his job made her a bit nervous. I don't know if that's the common consensus here, but that's how I feel.
Our house is located in the heart of Milan, just a 15-minute walk from Duomo, with easy access to shops, restaurants, and public transport. Saturdays and Sundays will be your free days, allowing you plenty of time to explore the city and travel around Italy. Your main responsibilities during the weekdays will be accompanying the host kid to school in the morning and picking him up at 6 p.m., except for Friday at 4 p.m. Playing with him in the afternoon until dinner, assisting with his dinner, bath time, and bedtime routine. In addition to childcare, we ask for your help in some light daily household tasks. In the morning, tidying up the beds, opening the windows, and washing the breakfast dishes. In the evenings, help to clean up the kitchen after dinner, giving host kid his bath, and putting him to bed. Please note that we have a cleaning lady who comes once a week for a deep cleaning, so your tasks will mainly be keeping things tidy on a daily basis.
So yeah, all the labour, all the tasks, all of the work kind of lines up exactly with what the lassie was saying. No light sort of household tasks, no deep cleaning or anything, but keeping the house at home, keeping it tidy, washing the dishes, not really cooking anything much, taking care of the kid, you know, playing with it, all that sort of thing. And she could have lied, right? She could have lied, because there's no way she was expecting people to follow define the profile. Or maybe she was, to be fair. Maybe she actually was. But like, either way, it lines up pretty perfectly so far. I'm very interested to see where the criticisms come in. I think this lassie here, the South African lassie, is also an au pair, so she will have more of a say, like more of a valid say than me, for sure. So I'm definitely willing to hear them out.
We previously hosted an au pair from New Zealand, and it was an amazing experience. She became part of our family, and we truly enjoyed the cultural exchange. We are now looking for welcoming a new au pair who is kind, responsible, and enthusiastic about spending time with host kid. We love to hear from you. If you're interested, please send us a brief introduction about yourself with your childcare experience and what you're looking for in your au pair experience. We'd be happy to arrange a video call to get to know each other and discuss the details. Looking forward to meeting you soon. Best regards.
I mean, yeah, there's nothing about having to bathe the child. You get the Saturdays, the Sundays off, the Friday, everything lines up fine. So, I mean, this lassie here has a bunch more videos on this whole topic explaining why the hatred for Ella is justified. So, I guess we'll give those a watch now.
This girl said that the dad had a scary job. It says here that the dad works in the military. What's scary about the military? Can you tell me? Because
what about the part where they fucking kill people? You know, that's kind of scary. Having a job where, you know, part of the requirements are you need to be willing to kill people, I would understand why that might be a bit scary to some people.
My host dad's in the military. He's in the army right now. I live on a military base. There is nothing scary about it. I live on a military base in the USA. What is scary about it? I have friends whose host dads are rangers in the military. There's nothing scary about them. They're just people doing their job.
Just because you yourself have had positive experiences with military men in the past, or are currently having a positive experience with people in the military, that does not mean that every military person is built the same and is the exact same amount of empathy, same amount of like goodness in their heart or whatever, exactly the same amount of comfort when you're around said person. Maybe this person in particular was a bit of a dick or a little bit aggressive. And also, because you've had so much exposure to the military, you obviously know that there isn't anything to be scared of. It's like people who aren't really around those who go to the gym very often have this preconception of gym goers as like these big scary hunks of fucking meat who will destroy everything in their path to get to the next protein bar. Whereas people who have gone to the gym for a decent amount of time come to realize, oh, you know, a lot of these people are actually quite sound. Yeah, there are a lot of dicks, but a lot of these people are fairly sound. I don't know, it's not a big deal, in my opinion, that she was a bit on edge around this bloke. But that's just my opinion. I understand what this girl's talking about as well, to be fair.
They also say here that her free time is Saturdays and Sundays. In her videos, she says that it was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Where does it say that here? It doesn't say that here at all. Just saying.
Obviously, I don't have the listing at hand, so I can't cross-check anything here, but I'm taking this lassie's word for it. But everything I'm about to say, just realize that it is on a if this is true sort of basis. And if this is true, if it doesn't say that, then yeah, it's a little bit of a weird thing to lie about, but it doesn't really change anything because she didn't take the Friday off necessarily. Okay, yeah, that was the day where she was reading her Kindle and the mum got home super late and started yelling at her. Which, yeah, fair enough. If you weren't meant to take Friday off and you were supposed to be playing with the kid, then I would understand why you sort of went against your duties there. But to be fair, she did clean up as she was supposed to later on in that day, so it's not really the biggest deal in the world, but at most, it's a weird thing to lie about. I think it was mainly the Saturday, which is why she decided to leave, though, and, you know, that whole thing, I completely understood.
Also, the responsibilities during the week, I will read them again for you, because apparently you don't know how to read them correctly. You obviously didn't read your job responsibilities properly. Accompanying host kid to school in the morning and picking him up at 6 p.m. except for Friday at 4 p.m. Girl, you literally have from the morning till about 5:30 p.m. to do whatever you want. Why is it a problem for you to do your job after 6:30 p.m. or 6 p.m. sorry? Playing with him in the afternoon until dinner. You did not do that. And you said that in your video. That you didn't understand why, and you didn't understand why you know, you were doing this and you were doing that. It's literally your job description. It says it right here.
That's true. I agree with her on that point, because the Friday wasn't supposed to be taken off if the listing is as described here. She must have misunderstood the you need to take care of the child every day after 6 p.m. or whatever, except for Friday, and then she must have just stopped there and ignored the at 4 p.m. bit, which obviously at Friday school ends. By the way, fucking 6 p.m. How long is school in Italy? By the way, you should have been playing with a child, taking care of it, instead of reading your Kindle, which you admitted you were, in fact, reading your Kindle, not taking care of the kid. I don't understand why the mum was a little bit annoyed at you, but it was your first week, and she could have cut you a bit more slack, in my opinion. But yes, you did either lie about that, or were misinformed because you weren't paying proper attention to the listing, or the listing here is a bunch of bullshit, but for the sake of the video, I'm taking her for a word.
Assisting him with dinner, bath time, and bedtime routine. You complained so much in your video about how the host mom wanted to bath the host kid because it was like their version of quality time. Right here, it says that bath time was your duty. Whether or not host mom's there, host mom's not there, if host mom offers to bath him, great, then she'll do it. If she doesn't, it is your job it is your responsibility to do it. It says it right here.
Okay, I missed that earlier. It says bath time there, so you complaining about having to take the kid to the bath and bathing the child or whatever, yeah, that was unwarranted. You weren't reading the listing properly, or you were lying. Both of which should not be done, so that's on you.
Tidying up beds, opening windows, washing breakfast dishes. Your job. You can take host kid to school, come home, tidy up everything that needs to be tidied up, then do whatever you want. It'll take you 30 minutes. Minimum. 30 minutes. So you coming home and taking a nap straight away, no wonder your host mom asked you, what are you doing? You were supposed to be doing something and you didn't do it. Helping to clean up the kitchen after dinner and giving host kid a bath. Again, the bath. Your responsibility. Not host mom's. Your responsibility. And putting him to bed. Your responsibility. Please note, we have a cleaning lady who comes once a week for a deep clean. You basically just had to tidy up on a daily basis. That's it. That is it. What are you complaining about? Like, this is the easiest job description right here. It says it right here.
This is more incriminating than I thought it would be, to be fair. Maybe she really didn't expect this to be outed in the way that it is right now, which, honestly, I mean, I know I'm cutting her a lot of slack. I know I'm giving her a bit too much credit. This is kind of strange behavior to actually go out and find the host family's account and shit. I mean, I understand that it was done to, like, catch her out in her lies or whatever and expose her for the entitled brat that people think she is. And if all this is true, then I wouldn't necessarily hold it against you for thinking that she is an entitled brat who just wanted a holiday and just didn't want to do any work, because based on this job description, it does sound quite cushy and easy.
Plan our meals in advance rather than rushing to find something last minute. And we enjoy organizing our trips ahead of time to make the most of our experiences. We're looking forward to welcoming an au pair who will become part of our family and share our daily lives, values, and adventures. These people seem genuinely so sweet. Also, I'm going to touch on this. They plan their meals ahead of time. You were complaining about dinner. You were complaining about making dinner specific. You weren't making anything. You just had to put the meal in the microwave, put it on a plate, and give it to the host kid.
How do you get microwavable meals from them saying that they plan meals in advance? That to me, that sounds like meal prep. And honestly, from the listing, from the bit that you read out, it's not entirely clear, in my opinion, who exactly is obligated to cook all of the meals. According to her, all she had to do was just heat the food up, which didn't really seem to cause any issues. Oh, no, to be fair, the mum did say that she needed to cook food, which contradicts you saying that she just needed to stick food in the microwave. Like, that is not just cooking food. And at the end of the day, this is just a description here. We cannot discern what these people are like as individuals based purely on the job description. Just because they look fit and they're in touch with their bodies or whatever, it does not mean that they're great people who are really endearing and treat everyone lovely.
Host kid currently sleeps in our room. The kitchen has been recently renovated and we have a spacious, comfortable living area. Spacious, comfortable living area. You said it wasn't like you felt trapped. spacious.
She obviously was not referring to the amount of space and dead air in the room when she said that she felt trapped. Maybe she was, to be fair. Maybe that is how most people saw it or were interpreting it. But in my opinion, it's very obvious that when she said she felt trapped, it meant like, oh, there's no escape from this gaff here, which I guess also is a bit of a strange thing to say, to be fair. Like, what were you expecting exactly? But I don't think she was referring to the actual physical space of each room. Fucking hell, this one's difficult. What the fuck? What? Why is this so hard? Oh, it's a cat. I thought it was like a goat. There you go. There you go, baby.
As a family, we love to make the most of our free time by engaging in various activities. Traveling is one of our biggest passions, and we already have exciting trips planned to Portofino, Naples, on the Amalfi Coast, and Salento. If you'd like, you are more than welcome to join us on these adventures and explore some of the most beautiful places in Italy. We also love swimming, whether it's in the sea, an outdoor pool, or even a thermal spa. Staying active is important to us, so we have arranged a free spa/gym pass, one per month, for our au pair, allowing you to relax and enjoy some well-deserved self-care time.
A gym/spa day one time. Who goes to the gym once a month? I get it's not exactly, it's just a weird thing to throw in there. I mean, I get that they're probably not like pushing for that sort of thing, but it's a little extra they can just chuck in there, but it's just funny to imagine someone who goes gym once a month and has that like plan in their routine. I will say though, I think the whole thing about like having holidays planned for later on, these incredible, beautiful events or whatever, I feel as though that doesn't actually help the woman who's making this video's case as much as she thinks. In my opinion, it makes it that much more confusing as to why she decided to leave so abruptly, because she knew that these amazing opportunities were on the horizon, but it was just so uncomfortable for her that she still decided to leave despite being in such an amazing place. There's different ways to look at it, is what I'm saying here. I understand if you think she was just being lazy, if she thought of it as just a free holiday where she could just goof off or whatever, and at the very first sign of work, she quit because it was too hard for her and she couldn't be bothered to do it. Based on this job description here, I understand if you come to that conclusion. But I also understand if you agree with me, because I'm still leaning more towards I don't think it's that deep. Like, it really just isn't that deep.
Free spa and gym pass. If you are feeling overwhelmed, go to the gym.
It's only once a month. She's only there for 3 months. She has 3 opportunities to go to the gym. It's not like the biggest luxury in the world.
They are so healthy. I love how in touch they are with their health. I love it. Also, note how they actually care about the well-being of the au pair. The spa, the gym, taking them on walks. Like, they want to spend time with you. It's not like you're a burden in their life.
This is without doubt my biggest issue with the reading out of this listing here, and this video here in general. No hate towards this woman, I understand how she's coming to these conclusions, but I think the biggest issue, and the most obvious one to be fair, is like, these are just words. Like, this is just a listing. I'm sure anybody watching this video who's ever worked a real job and read a real job listing that they later got interviewed for and got the job for, realizes very quickly that a lot of these people lie about what to expect and what they provide. I once got a job in a little chain restaurant/pub thing that we have here called Wetherspoons that you Americans definitely will not know of, but for all my UK fans, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And the job listing was fucking nothing like what the actual job was. They were like, we're going to train you up to become a chef, we're going to train you up to like manage the place at some point, you know, you'll be behind the bar serving drinks, it's just this gay old time, or nice people. People weren't nice, to be fair. They weren't lying about that bit. The people were lovely. But my job was just loading I was just stood there for 8 hours and loading the fucking dishwasher for the couple of weeks that I was there. But it was completely different from what the job listing was. I have no doubt that maybe these people are completely lovely, but you just can't discern the quality of their character based purely on the words that they put on their au pair world listing. Like, you just can't. You don't know what it was like to actually be there working for them. The only person who knows what it was like to actually work for them is the one from New Zealand that they had over, and this lassie, Ella.
The au pair is completely free to do whatever she desires, whether it's relaxed. I understand she shouted at you. Good enough reason to leave. In some aspect. I don't know how she could have shouted at you. She seems like the sweetest person on earth. And also, she seems like she really cares about your well-being.
Just don't know that. You just don't know that. Just because someone says that they're a nice person. In fact, usually if someone says that they're a nice person, that is the biggest fucking indicator that they are in fact a horrible person to be around. There are contexts. You could like look into some things, detective mode some shit, and come to some conclusions that are very possibly wrong, but the girl was just demoted as the au pair arrived to the establishment or whatever. Maybe she was really angry at the demotion at her job and was taking her anger out on the au pair. Maybe. I mean, that is a reach. I don't know that for sure, but maybe it's a possibility.
Dinner, 7 to 8 p.m. Assist with his meal, prepared by host family. Bedtime routine. Help with bath time and getting him ready for bed by 10 p.m.
To be fair, she said that they were eating dinner at 10 p.m. So there is discrepancies, there are differences between the listing and how it actually was going down in the house. It's not as though she was lying about everything. It's not as though like everything was just a lie and she was out to get us with these like malicious fucking inconsistencies or whatever. If she was promised bedtime at 10 p.m. and then they're sat there eating fucking spaghetti at 10:30, then I understand why that would annoy her a little bit. Also, I would feel very uncomfortable tucking a child into the bedroom when their parents are also sleeping in the exact same bedroom. I understand that it's part of your job, but it doesn't mean it's any less uncomfortable. Like, the parents are in that room, they're sleeping with it, they can do it themselves, man. It's tucking the baby in, do it yourself.
We consider our au pair part of the family and value collaboration and mutual support.
All of the worst office jobs in the world say that they consider their workers to be part of the family, and it is the most annoying shit ever. But maybe I'm comparing apples to oranges here. I understand how this lassie making this video has come to the conclusions that she has. I understand why she thinks that Ella is entitled or whatever. I also really like her hair. That's unrelated to anything, but her hair is great. But yeah, I do get it. I'm not hating on this video too much. There's some things I agree with, some things I disagree with. She was definitely disingenuous about certain aspects of the story, either that or just straight up lying. I believe everything she said that the family had done to her, but it is in contention, it is questionable what exactly the requirements were beforehand and what exactly she knew she was supposed to be doing beforehand. But everything that happened to her, I believe, well and truly. And, you know, the fact that she was yelled at like that in the car on her supposed day off, yeah, it's unacceptable in my opinion. And I still can't bring myself to be too angry or mad at the fact that she left. Seems like they didn't even fucking like her anyway, so it's not like a big loss. She made another response to the whole drama, so we'll give this a watch as well.
My last video around this topic, I kind of honestly am done with it at this point, but I'm getting a ridiculous amount of hate and rude comments when none of you guys were in my shoes or felt the way I felt. Some of the comments I do agree with, the ones that are nice, but also critiquing me a little bit, because I know that, yes, was I a little bit immature and ran away when I could have talked to the family? Maybe I was. Was I a little bit dramatic? Probably. But what's done is done. I can't take back anything that happened. I felt unsafe for whatever my reasons were, and I decided to do what I did. If you don't agree, that's okay. It's my first time going through life just like you guys, and I make mistakes. So I will say that I definitely made some mistakes in that situation. I probably was not prepared, and I probably could have prepared myself more. And yes, there's a few mistakes that went down with it, but enough talking about that. I just want to say that I'm done talking about the situation. If you're following me and leaving terrible hate comments about me, first of all, you don't know anything about me, which is okay, I understand, but I don't understand why you're being mean to me. I don't really know what I did to you. But yeah, if you're following me and leaving hate comments, please just unfollow me. But if you're following me and supporting me and wanting to see my videos and wanting to follow along with my journey, or just want to see me experience life, I'm so happy that you're here. Yeah, so I just wanted to say this one last video. I'm done talking about that subject matter. I know comments are going to keep rolling in and people are going to keep reacting to that video just because it's so big right now. But I just want to say I'm done looking at them. Yeah. I've moved on, so I hope you guys can too.
Look, I understand if you guys think I'm being too defensive of this woman, but I think that this is a perfectly fine response as well. Like, she's right. We don't know what it was like to be in her position, and the people leaving vicious hate comments towards her are fucking weirdos. Like, it is not that big a deal at all. And yet, I appreciate that she is willing to admit that, yes, she could have gone about the leaving process in a better way. The fact that she left is not a point of contention. She is completely happy and consistent with the fact that leaving was a good idea, and I'm sure she would fucking do it again if given the opportunity, because she did not feel comfortable in that situation. It was not what she expected, and yeah, maybe she should have been more prepared, but at the end of the day, it's a young person who made a mistake. Big deal. It's just a shame that mistake was broadcasted to 17 million people. You gotta feel bad for her, man. There is no way that she posted that TikTok expecting almost 20 million people to see it and to judge her for it and to leave negative comments about it, and for TikToks made about her to be receiving like millions of views and chatting more shit about her. It's mental. Like, it's mental. Imagine being her. But I think that's all I really have to say about this situation, to be fair. It's a young girl who, sure enough, made a bunch of mistakes, but nothing too outrageous. She left an environment that she didn't feel safe in, which honestly is the type of mindset that keeps you alive. And even if she did fuck up by leaving, or she wasn't actually being treated as badly as she says, who can really bring themselves to care enough to make a bunch of negative comments and videos about her? It really isn't that big a deal. I feel bad that she's received so much shit that she's now had to turn her comments off, because I'm guessing TikTok was like quite a fun hobby for her, and now the fun factor on that has obviously diminished a little bit. Okay, to be fair, I will say these later videos where she's not talking about the situation do have comments on, so it seems as though everything's returned to normal for her. So yeah, man, this is kind of just a situation that happened. It's over now, and that's about it. Really not a big deal at all. I have no idea why so many people were so outraged by it, but you know what? That's my take. I completely understand if you disagree with me. Be sure to let me know if you disagree, if you think I was being too nice, and let me know why, because I genuinely do want to know why exactly people are so mad at her. So yeah, leave a comment on this video telling me why you're angry at her, or you are on her side, you know, for the same sort of reasons that I am, or maybe you're on her side for a different reason. Maybe you're angry at her for some weird, non-specific reason that was not even brought up in this video. But either which way, hopefully you all enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you all in the next one. So, yeah, bye.